What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Disconnected Gamers Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew, also known as J-Bond. With me, as always...
Yeah, you know me. It's your boy Mike.
What's up, Mike?
Not sick anymore. Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that's good.
not
That's
not
good.
sick.
And for those wondering, it is Monday, March 14th. We had to postpone because Mike lost his voice at IHOP.
Yeah. So don't eat it.
Those bastards
IHOP.
stealing voices.
Voices.
It is episode 61. Hopefully, I will have this all edited and posted to iTunes. It'll probably take me a day or two to get this on YouTube. But I've got a couple other things scheduled to go up as well. So let's talk. So
Yeah.
I've a few things happened. One, my electrical tape solve of my Apple charger for my MacBook might not be as cracked up
That's
because
not this.
I check it
Mhm.
because it was getting like super hot before I taped it, and when I taped it and kind of sealed it up, everything seemed all hunky dory.
Right.
But I think it was still getting so hot that it loosened the tape, which opened up the like huge gash in the cord,
No
exposing the
bueno.
wires. So I think I have to.
I'm
I think.
assuming they don't. You can't just buy another
Oh
one.
no, I
I'm
can.
assuming
They're
there's.
like $100, and I
Oh.
have another one. So
Oh.
this is the one from my MacBook from 2007. So I've managed to get like 7 years out of this.
7
No,
years
you know
out.
what? This isn't the same one though. So I bought that MacBook in like 2007 before I went to college, and then when I went to London in '09, it fucking died on me in the hotel. It stopped working, and I had to buy one when I was in London. So
Oh.
this is the one that I bought in 2009, which means I still got it's 2016, so I still got 9 years out of it.
Yeah.
No.
9 years out of it.
Yeah,
Or
9.
no, yeah, maybe 9.
No, is it 7?
Or
7 years, right? 2009 to 16 would be 7. 9 out of 16 would be 7.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so 7 years. So
So,
so that's still
still, it's a good amount.
that's a good amount of time to get out of any Apple product. Because basically, what happened was when I had to buy my new MacBook in 2013 because my other one completely crapped out, I
Mhm.
still had both chargers. So I was like, well,
Uh,
they're the same, so I'll just keep using the old one, and then I won't have to
until
use the new one. It also meant that what I did to extend the life of them too was that I left one at home and I left one at work, and then that way I wasn't coiling them up constantly and bringing them back and forth. And I would
Mhm.
always take the new one when I traveled, since um, it would get thrown in my backpack and then off it would go.
Right.
Um, so it managed to hold up. So
Survive.
so it held up until just about this week basically, and I'm a little bit nervous of the electrical tape getting
Right.
hot from the heat generated from this thing. So I'm gonna try one more trick with
Mm.
some hot glue, because I think
Ah,
if I can seal the cable shut and then wrap it with electrical tape, it will potentially solve this problem. And then I can keep using it. I'm definitely not going to leave it plugged in when I'm not home. Like now I unplug it when I leave, because
right. That
I
way
am just a little nervous.
it'll cool down at least.
Yeah, it won't catch
It's because
fire and
uh,
burn the
oh
fucking
yeah.
house down. But
Whoops.
yeah. Um but for the meantime I'm using the new one and just avoiding that.
Okay.
In another news, not really that anyone should be really shocked by this, or that anyone probably cares. When I edit my YouTube videos, youtube.com/c/thedgcast, uh, I use an external scratch disk. One, because it seems to be easier to do that, and two, I don't have a lot of hard drive space on my laptop. I was using an old spare external that I had, and I decided that I would try using another external that I have, which is USB 3.0 instead of 2.0.
Mhm.
Because I'm thinking, all these people online are like, no, you can't really speed up the rendering. It's based on the computer. And I'm like thinking, well, but the reading and the writing that occurs to the hard drive
Mhm.
would be faster if the drive could do faster.
Right, I would
Like
think so.
logic kind of says that would be the thing. So I said, flop the river
Mhm.
and ran on the USB 3.0, and it made a noticeable dent in the pre-render and final render times
That's
for the
good.
videos. Yeah, like to the tune of, in some cases, up to 20 minutes
Mm.
saved in pre-render,
Saves.
which is huge because that means that's 20 minutes I don't have to wait to start
Mhm.
rendering the video, and then even that
Exactly.
went faster. Which
Mm.
means I can get more videos done every day, which means I'll probably go from doing one video a day to
To at least a
two,
few. Yeah,
to probably two. Um, and
that works.
so uh, I'm I might just buy another USB 3.0 hard drive instead of continuing to use the one I have, because this is the same external that I store all my photos and videos on. So I'm a
Ah.
little nervous that if I'm constantly reading and writing to this hard drive that it might fail.
Mm,
So I'm
mm,
gonna
mm.
just snag another one on
And
the
another
cheaps.
one. Yeah.
Snag one on the cheaps and use that for the time being, and then I can still use the external slower hard drive for just bulk video storage,
Hmm.
and then I can just put all the old videos on that and store the raw footage basically on that hard drive if I ever had to go back and fix them. So if you guys are interested in seeing me make video content about video games, feel free to go to youtube.com/c/thedgcast, where you can subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Ooh.
Like I said, I'm attempting to do at least one video a day during the week. On the weekends, I kind of just don't. But depending on how smooth and more efficient I can make this process, I might actually do that. Mostly indie games. There is some Dying Light stuff. I did some videos on Galaxy. Obviously, you guys know that because I think I already talked about that in the last video, or the last podcast, rather. Um, right now, I'm working on an Adventures of Pip review. I did a written review on our website, thedgcast.com, but um,
Gonna
I'm going to try
switch it
and
up.
do a
Do
video
a.
review because I've never done a video review of a game before, and I figure it's a game that I love. It's a game that I already have,
It's
so I
true.
don't need to really think about it too much. I just kind of got to go in and get some footage of like the different levels to kind of show it off,
Mhm.
and then
Some
just kind of,
examples you can throw out.
yeah, and then like talk about the game. So that's in the pipeline. Um, more cat lateral damage. More
What is that?
cat
Like,
lateral
I saw you
damage.
playing it.
It's
Yeah.
on Steam. It was on Steam earlier this year,
Hmm.
and you're a cat, and your job is to knock everything off the shelves before the time runs out.
That
So those
strangely
pesky
sounds weird, but fun.
those pesky human bastards didn't give you friskies; they gave you meow mix, so you wrecked their shit.
They got you the cheap brand.
Yeah, you give me that Walmart cat food. I know the difference. Um, yeah, so you just paw and knock everything off of the shelves and stuff.
I want to look into that.
Yeah, it's fun. It comes out on PlayStation 4 on March 22nd, so I have it early. I tried to share play it with CJ, and unfortunately, he couldn't watch it because it was like, this game is not yet out in your like region.
Ah.
Because I completely forgot that it's early. But there's no embargo because the game already existed
Oh,
on
on
Steam, so they're
Steam.
like, they're just releasing it on PlayStation 4. So they were like, go ahead and you can stream it. You can publish videos. So
Right.
there's a couple YouTube videos, and I've streamed it a couple times.
I will go watch those.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of just me. And then I've been watching Hulu, watching them shows. Wesley
Yep, yep, yep.
Snipes, dude, he's in this show called The Player. It's
Hmm.
good. It's good.
I
I
didn't
like
even
it.
know he was back to acting.
Oh, he's still in the game, my friend. He never left.
Oh yeah, he's in. Never mind. He was in Expendables 3, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so
Um,
never mind. I'm wrong. Yeah, I seen him. I saw him
but
in that.
no, it's a really good show. The short of it is, Wesley Snipes is like the pit boss who runs this kind of underground secret gambling ring.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're gambling on is whether or not this person, who's a ex-Special Forces guy, can stop like murders from happening or stop a kidnapping or like find this guy before a certain timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And so his wife has been kidnapped, but nobody knows that. Everyone thinks his wife is dead. But he knows that she's not. So the parallel running throughout all of the episodes is he's trying to figure out what happened to his wife. The other parallel is that there's a government entity trying to figure out what's going on with this underground gambling thing, because up until the dude who's doing it now, all these people have been all these ex-Special Forces military guys have been winding up dead in the Vegas area. Presumably because they maybe didn't fulfill their end of this game bargain, you know?
Right.
Because, you know, I've only watched like 3 of the episodes that are on Hulu right now, but...
Oh, so it's a new
I don't think it's
show.
New. I just happened to catch it. I remember seeing promos for it a while back, but...
Oh, okay.
Like they don't have all the episodes listed, like so it's like 5 through like 10 maybe, and I'm on like episode 7.
Okay.
But like after the first episode, I was hooked, and it's because there's like kind of nonstop action, right? Like there's always kind of like pushing drama, but there's usually a resolution at the end of every episode, right? Like the guy finds the thing and he either stops them or he doesn't stop them, or something kind of happens, and then you've got the parallel tension of the government entity trying to stop this organization that they don't know what it is. They don't know what's going on. They only know that, you know, random ex-Special Forces people are ending up dead, and that's weird because the Special Forces community is probably fairly close-knit, one would assume. And, you know, Wesley Snipes' character kind of, like, runs this whole thing. And so because I've never seen the first episode or the second or maybe the pilot, I don't know how the current dude has been recruited. Like I don't know anything about his wife's kidnapping other than she's been kidnapped and she's apparently alive. You're led to believe it. So I
hope there's a twist.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like I'm hoping there's some kind of weird twist, and I'm thinking that like maybe somehow Wesley Snipes kidnapped the wife to force him into this game. You know,
or she's a special agent or something like that.
Yeah, she's a double agent. But in any case, it's entertaining. I'm digging it. I'm having fun because I don't like cop shows where there's not like tons of action that happens in each episode.
Yeah, it's more drama.
Like Law and Order SVU. Like they never actually like they do happen to get into gun battles, but like. It doesn't happen all the time. It's usually just like they've caught him red-handed and they put handcuffs on him and fade to black. Dun dun.
Dun dun. Yeah.
These are their stories. But that's... so I like the shows that have kind of like action. And because every episode is like a new thing and there's a new story and then it's resolved at the end of each episode, it's also cool because I can watch any episode and not really have to worry about it. I'm going to get enough of the like parallel background thing.
Right. That you have an understanding.
Yeah, that I have an understanding of what's going on. Excuse me. So that is cool. I like this show. It's my new thing. By the time we record next week, I'll probably have watched all the episodes that are available, and because I think it's literally just like 10. And so that's that. That ends my ranting about like life stuff. Oh no, you know what? Not yet. Buffalo Wild Wings, much like Chick-fil-A, when they open a new store, first 100 people through the door, free wings for a year.
Yep.
You get a coupon book for 52 free snack size. Recently, Buffalo Wild Wings opened up near me, and I went.
Nice. Oh.
103rd in line. Yeah, couldn't fucking believe it. Had I left like 10 or 15 minutes earlier to get there, I might have actually been 100. I might have been like 96th in line.
Darn. I would have just walked out, but well,
that's basically what happened. I sat down because I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll get something to eat anyway since I waited. And then I was just like, you know what? Fuck
It's not
this
gonna be
shit,
free.
I'm out. And then
Yeah,
I just
man.
was like, you know what? Because they were like, oh, we might, we're still gonna raffle off some of these coupon books once we get everybody inside and like settled.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'm done.
Nah,
So
nah. Was it $1.49 chicken nuggets at Burger King? Whatever. Out.
no, Burger King's done. Oh
Oh, really?
yeah, I went to that. The hits just keep on coming. So this weekend I'm doing yard work, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go get some lottery tickets and some BK because I've got quarters in my car. I can go get some nuggets. So I go get some lottery tickets, and I go to the Burger King, and I'm like, yo, hit me up with the 10-piece nuggies. And the dude's like, you know that they're not at all $1.49 anymore. So I'm like, well, how much are they? $3.69 plus tax.
Nope.
And I was like, yeah,
See how the tires squeal.
fucking just peel out, just drive right over all the fucking shrubbery, do donuts in the grass. Fuck you, 36. So I'm like, you know what? No, it's fine. I'll just get it.
Mm.
So I get my, so it becomes $3.95 with tax, and I'm like, this is annoying. So I drive all the way home, and I like get inside and tweet. Biggest disappointment of the day: Burger King no longer does 149 nuggets.
Mm.
And then I count the chicken nuggets. There was 9.
Oh,
I didn't even get the full 10. So I was like,
bastards.
so I was like, then I tweeted again at Burger King, was like, Burger King employee trained to immediately tell me that the price of the nuggets has gone up. Still can't count to 10.
Yeah.
and
Right.
and that was so I think I sent like 3 or 4 tweets to Burger King, and I in the last tweet I sent to them was, I guarantee you they won't reply to these messages.
Hmm.
And because I tweeted and was like, it's one thing that you were doing a temporary discounted like $1.49 for 10 nuggets, which even at $3.69 it's still cheaper than McDonald's, because McDonald's is $4.49 for 10 nuggets.
Right.
So we're still basically like $1 less
Hmm.
than McDonald's for 10 nuggets.
Right. Yeah.
But you can't double the price and then some, because 149 times 2 is 3. So you can't have like you can't double the price and then not give me 10 fucking nuggets.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time that I've gotten 9 when I've gotten the nuggets, but because they're $1.49, I'm like, whatever, not a big deal. But when you double the price on me and then you don't give me the right amount, like that really pisses me off. And it's
Yeah.
and it's
It's,
it's not worth it to drive back, nor are
no.
they going to be like, oh, here's your one nugget, right? They're going to be
Yeah.
like, whatever. And
Our
another
bad.
thing that annoys me is that Burger King, they don't give you like, I've never got a receipt when I've like gone in and ordered the chicken nuggets. Like, they don't give me a receipt. So I'm like, I can't even give you a receipt to be like, it was John who rang me out and my slip number was whatever. I have to be
Hmm.
like, I went at like 6:05,
Hmm.
and if you want to look on the, and it's like they're not going to like go through the camera footage to be like, okay, look for the Tahoe, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Um
Mm.
and the slip where one person got 10 nuggets. So that part annoys me, and it annoys me because and I'm sure I'll catch a little bit of flack from the people who listen to this, maybe depending. I really can't stand when people in the fast food employment industry are like, we want $15 an hour. Because my response is always, do your fucking job and count the food right and give me the food that
Right.
I asked for. And don't be a dick when I go through when I go through the window.
Thank you.
I went to a McDonald's once, the one that I frequent a lot, and I paid for my food, and they didn't give me a receipt, and I rolled up to the next window, and I waited probably like 5 or 10 minutes, and then finally a kid comes to the window and goes, "Did you pay?" And I was like, "Yeah, at the first window."
Hmm.
What the fuck? Like, why the fuck didn't you come ask me earlier?
Yeah.
And
Right.
first off, that's super like
Super.
unprofessional to be like, "Did you pay?"
Yeah.
Like, no, I just drove through the window and I'm trying to steal someone else's food. Just give me what's next.
Mm.
And I was like, I paid with a 5. You gave me like a nickel and a dime and change. And then like he gave me the food, and I was ready to at that point be like, get your manager right now. and I'm not moving my vehicle from this drive-through line. Like, get your manager right now. On that one, I did actually submit a complaint. I went on to McDonald's thing
I
and filed a
don't blame you
complaint, and I'm sure nothing happened
yet.
because I've lost my faith in most like complaint filing things for any corporation, basically. Which is why I boycott companies. It's why I won't go to Wendy's anymore. It's why I refuse to buy from Advanced Auto Parts. And I've told that story before, but
No,
um,
I don't blame you.
so, but yeah, and it's like the problem is I can't boycott all the stores, and that particular McDonald's is a training McDonald's, so they do constantly rotate staff. So
Mhm.
my feeling, at least with that McDonald's, is that I may get shitty service from time to time, but it's because they're
Right.
training kids who probably just don't give a fuck. And like your lack of giving a fuck is exactly why I don't think you deserve $15 an hour.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I understand what it costs to live in America in different parts of the country. It's expensive. I understand that. Working at McDonald's is not a career path. It is
No.
a temporary job that you work at when you are growing up. If you want to be the manager of a McDonald's or maybe even a franchisor and own several, by all means, that is a different career path than just working at a fast food restaurant. But,
Truth. Truth.
uh, that's whether or not you have different opinions on it, that's fine by me. I don't care.
No, I agree
I'm
with
not.
you.
I don't mean you. I mean the people listening. I'm not
Oh
trying to.
no, no, no. I'm just saying. No, yeah.
I'm not trying to get them all riled up. That's just my personal opinion on it. I think that if if the quality of your service was more commonly praised for being good, people probably wouldn't even balk at the minimum wage increase.
Right.
But it's like, when you have places like McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King all competing for who can have the like best dollar menu, you know, I don't understand how you expect people to want to keep coming to your place when they're not getting very good service. That said, I don't go to fast food restaurants very often.
Too often. Yeah.
Certainly less now that Burger King is back to a regular price.
Right.
Usually I just go to the grocery store and I buy deli meats and I make myself a sandwich. It's
Simple
easy.
enough.
It's easy. It's cheaper.
Lot
Bread
cheaper.
and cold cuts. Boom.
Right.
Throw it on bread. Done.
Easy. Simple.
So, 20 minutes into this fucking thing, and all I've done is talk about stuff
Hey,
that's annoying.
people love to have something to, because you never know. We could have people tweet, be like, "Hey, it's exactly how I feel."
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody
Here's
has
thanks.
everybody has a horrible fast food thing.
So
Mine
I'm
is
hoping
mine is that every time I've ever gone to Wendy's, there's been a problem with my
something.
order, and every time I
Something.
tweet at Wendy's about it, they're always like, "Oh, please contact our social media team," and then I do, and they do absolutely nothing with it. Like I've been
Here's a
given, I
pretty.
I was given a bread sandwich once. It was literally 3 pieces of bread wrapped up, and I'm like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I paid for a chicken sandwich, guys. So
Mhm.
why am I getting a bread sandwich?"
Assholes.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, I'm really sorry that happened." I'm like, "Well, are you gonna do anything about it? Are you gonna give me like a coupon to get a free sandwich? Like I sent you pictures. Like
Mm.
I didn't magically keep an extra piece of bread from another
Yeah.
sandwich and throw it in there." Um, and so and then one time the like employees were like mouthing off. Not, I think they were mouthing off to like the person in front of us, and I was like, I don't know if you know this person and you're just being like a dick to your friend, but it looks really fucking bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with that, I'm gonna stop talking about that stuff. Uh, Video game news. So this is from today, 3/14. ID at Xbox. A letter from Chris Charla, ID at Xbox updates and GDC, Game Developers Conference, for those of you who don't know. And so this is a couple new things that have grown directly out of developer feedback, as according to the ID at Xbox post. And one of them, which I think is the biggest and most kind of interesting thing, which is what you had mentioned,
Mhm.
cross-network play. Now, this is not cross-platform play. This is cross-network play. So
Mhm.
these two paragraphs. First, in addition to natively supporting cross-platform play between Xbox One and Windows 10 games that use Xbox Live, we're enabling developers to support cross-network play as well. This means players on Xbox One and Windows 10 using Xbox Live will be able to play with players on different online multiplayer networks, including other console and PC networks. The second paragraph. Of course, it's up to game developers to support this feature, and Xbox Live players will always have the option of choosing to play only with other Xbox Live players. We are thrilled to confirm that Psyonix's Rocket League will be one of the first games to take advantage of this new capability by enabling cross-network play between Xbox One and PC players with an open invitation for other networks to participate as well. End paragraph. So this is big news.
Huge
This
news.
is opening a door to something that a lot of people have wanted for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a guarantee that anything will happen. It is simply Microsoft saying, "Hey, listen, we're allowing game developers to build games with multiplayer networks that pool players from Xbox Live on Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs, but also potentially PlayStation 4s and PlayStation Network.
Mhm.
And also other PC networks. I don't exactly know what other PC networks there would be unless it was like, MOBAs that have their own networking or like game
Right.
lobbies or something. I assume that's probably what it means.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or in other consoles, I assume the only other console besides PlayStation 4 would be the Nintendo Wii U. I don't know what games really have come out on all three consoles lately. Because like the Wii doesn't get things like Call of Duty.
I think it has Black Ops. I think,
Right, it might
but
have one of like the first ones.
like two, yeah, well, like one or two, but I don't think it has three.
Yeah, and it might have like one Assassin's Creed, but there's not really multiplayer in Assassin's Creed, so pointless. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Either way, it's kind of cool.
it's super cool.
If your buddy doesn't have a, Xbox One, he has a PS4. If the developer opens it like that, then you could play online, the multiplayer, whatever, with your friend,
Yeah,
and not have to fork
shell
out
out
the 300, $400 just to play with your friends.
plus PSN or
Yeah, or
PS Plus rather, or
Xbox Live.
Xbox Live. Yeah, I mean it's huge. It's huge. If this becomes a thing that is accepted and established, yeah, I mean the potential is huge.
Right?
And Rocket League,
Seriously.
I thought was fantastic when they pioneered PlayStation 4 and PC crossplay to begin with, and something that I was kind of pushing my indie developer friends to do was to kind of harass Psyonix to tell them how they did it, right? Because Rocket League was one of the first PS4 games I think that did that had PS4 and PC crossplay. And so I kept telling my friends, like, hey, you're building your game for Steam and you're building it for PS4. Like, you should really kind of, if you know anybody at Psyonix, kind of reach out to them and be like, hey, how did you do that? Like, how did you... and on top of that, they rebuilt their netcode in like 2 days when the game launched, and they had so many people playing it that the servers had like completely crapped out.
Oh, dang.
So clearly their network engineers are like top notch.
Top notch, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that now they're going to do it across Xbox Live is awesome too, because now it means, one, if one of these platforms has a lower user base, now you've just totally massively changed how many people are available to play with. and that will probably make these games last way longer.
Right.
Because now they can play with people on PS4 if they have an Xbox, and not necessarily have to deal with if maybe a ton of people didn't pick it up on Xbox One.
Exactly.
And now it's less of an issue. And again, I mean, obviously, it has to be done and put into motion, and obviously, Sony probably has to do something on their end to allow this to occur.
Right. If they
whether or
even
not
do.
the developers want to support it. And I think that for Sony, it's probably a no-brainer not to ignore this.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. I'd hope they're like, yeah, we'll figure something out,
So, yeah, I'm super, super interested to see what happens with this.
Same.
I don't know how much you read into this on Twitter, but the fanboy console war guys were coming out of the woodwork. Oh, Xbox is on its dying breath. Look they're trying to connect with PlayStation, and then the PlayStation dudes were like, "Oh yeah, take that, Xbox, blah blah blah," and
Ugh. It's like I don't think that's their point.
No.
First off, yeah, that's this. They're not trying to say, oh, hey, we're on our last straw, so here we go.
We're doing so bad, we're gonna open up something that we never did ever before.
Right. It's like, no, we want to open at one point, once you figure out the technology or, figure out some way to do it, you would want to allow that at some point.
Right. And if we're in a console generation that's allegedly going to last another 10 years,
right,
you're
going to want to figure it out.
And I'm not saying there should be a, HP Compaq merger, because that was terrible.
Right.
We're not going to get a PlayStation box.
No.
We're not going to get the PS Box 5. But I am interested to see what comes of this, and again, it comes down to the developers themselves have to implement this. So how much support is going to be given on the Xbox side, and how much support is going to be given on the PlayStation side to help the developers kind of make it work? Because as far as I know, any of the indie developers that I know who have built multiplayer games, like, they have to build that network themselves, basically. They have to do all that net code and kind of set up the servers and stuff like that. It's not necessarily something that Sony provides. So if they have no clue how to do that, how much support is going to be there for them to figure it out?
Yeah.
So I don't, again, these are questions we can only speculate on at this point in time. But again, it's a really exciting thing to see, because it just means that there's this new potential that we didn't have before.
Exactly. Which is super exciting.
And given that Rocket League's going to do it first, basically, I mean, that game has been so beyond successful.
Right.
Like, if it does extremely well and they see like very good results from it, I don't see why other indie developers wouldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And it's
follow the trend.
And I'm already wondering if certain indie developers wouldn't greatly benefit from it, and I can think of one example would be Switchblade Monkeys. They did Secret Ponchos. Like, the PS4 community is much smaller than the PC community in that game. So if I was able to play on my PS4 against PC people, I would totally be in it. Right? I wouldn't, because I don't want to play on my PC, even though I can use a controller. It's just I just want to play it on PS4 and be done with it,
Yeah, exactly.
But that's, if now all of a sudden, I mean, Secret Punches doesn't exist on Xbox, but all of a sudden if it did, now you've got three groups of people, and rather than fracturing your user base by dividing them out on multiple platforms, now you're telling me that we have the ability to make it so that platform is irrelevant. You can still get it on Xbox One if you want it, and you can still get it on PS4 if you want it. Now, and the funny thing is, we'll actually be kind of going backwards in time to when games used to release on multiple consoles, and
Yeah.
you kind of had to pick which one you wanted.
Which one you wanted? Yep.
It's almost like Pokemon, right? Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue. Those
Mm,
games both played on the same console, but the
hmm.
games themselves were different.
Different. Yep.
Now you can do Pokemon Red on PS4 and Pokemon Blue on, Xbox, and they can still play together, but you might get different versions of the game. Subtle differences.
Right.
Nothing
But
that's majorly game changing, but it opens up the door for indie developers to kind of offer that. And then that would be something that would kind of change it, right? Because like right now,
it's
the difference between buying a game on Xbox One and PS4 is like timed exclusives.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
you get access to the Division DLC
See,
30
for like
days early.
it's yeah. Hmm.
And now it can be you get access to this character, and if you buy it on this version, you get access to this character.
Yep.
And the easy way that they could remedy that is by saying, well, if you want that character, you can just pay like $2.99,
Hmm.
which would kind of be nickel and diming you, but you'd be paying for something that probably, again, it has to be an aesthetic thing, right? Like it has to be like skins that are only available on the Xbox version, or you've got to, it's included on the Xbox version, but you got to buy it on the PS4 version, and vice versa. And then it wouldn't matter so much. But sorry if my chair is squeaking. It's like super
Oh no, you're
squeaky.
fine.
Um, so I wonder how that would play into it.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of examples, and I feel like there were examples back when we were kids in terms of like games that came out on PlayStation and also came out on like N64.
64.
Or like when Resident Evil 2 relaunched on N64 and it was on one cartridge versus like Resident Evil 2 was 2 discs
Shoot.
on PS1. Or if there were any Dreamcast games that were like I know Rainbow Six came out on Dreamcast and it also came out on N64, but it was also on PC.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto was on PC and it was also on Dreamcast, and I think it was also on
That's
PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1, yeah. Buddy of mine has a copy of it.
Yeah. Crazy Taxi. Um,
Yep.
Code Veronica. Code Veronica was on Dreamcast and
Dreamcast,
PlayStation.
and then later PS2, and I think GameCube.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's interesting. In other news from the ID at Xbox, they introduced mono game support, which is some sort of open source solution for Microsoft's XNA programming framework, which I don't know what that is. So,
Oh,
it
okay. I thought
hasn't.
that was the PC to not remote play, but like Forza whatever is gonna go to PC now. I thought it was that stuff.
Mm.
I thought that's what you meant.
Oh, you
Where
know what? Here we go. Here, so open source solution for developers called Monogame. This news is a little overdue, but we're stoked that Monogame support will be coming to Xbox One soon. Thanks to our friends Tom Spillman and our friends at Sickhead Games. We're really excited to welcome Monogame with a bang, thanks to a big partnership with another developer named Tom Happ. Now, if you don't know the name Tom Happ, you will in about 2 seconds, because there's this little game that he made called Axiom Verge, and it's coming to Xbox One and Wii U. I actually put a post up about that today. So the mono game support allowed Axiom Verge to come to Xbox One using whatever. So mono game must be something that allows people to like port games to Xbox One, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know enough about programming, but
right.
that's really cool. That
That is pretty cool.
because obviously Axiom Verge is a really, really awesome game. So people getting to play it on Xbox One and also Nintendo Wii U eShop, super duper awesome. All I know is that it's going to be later this year. They didn't give me a time period of when.
Mm. Hey, it's coming out.
Yep. And then there's some other stuff about Xbox Game Preview, which is basically just like Steam Early Access for Xbox.
Mm.
Creating a sustainable marketplace. Marketplace to sell. Sign off on every monthly statement to developers. So they're giving royalty. Okay, that has to something, I don't know. ID at Xbox on Windows 10. Extending ID at Xbox to Windows 10 to support. Yeah, and this was the other thing, the Universal Windows platform. I know that this was the thing that the guy from Epic Games was a
Oh, when
big competitor
he
and
was a
he
little
was
worried
critical
about it.
of.
Yeah.
That's the Universal Windows platform thing.
Oh, okay.
So I'll see what, I don't know exactly how that's connected, but ID at Xbox will be having Windows 10 support to incorporate that, I suppose.
Mm.
Looking ahead, lineup of independent games that will be coming to Xbox One this year is really amazing. Cuphead, that looks really cool. Below, Inside, super hot, looks really cool. We Happy Few, super excited about that. I've been playing the alpha of that on PC. It's super trippy. Really, really fun game, though. That's made by the team that made Contrast on PS4.
Oh, nice.
Worms, WMD, and Pit People, just to name a few. And the games that are a bit further out are no less cool. We'll be showing 40 different games at GDC. If you swing by, say hi to the Xbox team. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Been an amazing first 2 years. And yeah, so that was the ID at Xbox announcement with them at GDC. So the potential for PlayStation Network and Xbox Live users to lobby up together is super cool.
Super, super, super cool.
Was that pretty much all you wanted to touch on that, or did you have some other angle?
Pretty much that, yeah.
Dude, play devil's advocate. Start shitting on Xbox. Be like, oh, going broke, going out of business. They sell less every month than NPDs. I don't care. That's like whatever, man. If you enjoy the system and you enjoy the games, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, I mentioned to a friend, as soon as I saw the article, I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't need my Xbox One anymore then.
Mm.
But then they were like, wait. Halo, though. I was like, oh,
Right, that's
right.
the thing. Like it only works for games that exist on both platforms. So, if you want the exclusives on either platform, you still have to have both
So,
consoles. It just means that you don't necessarily have to
uh,
um, have
but,
both consoles for every game.
right, yeah.
Like right now there are people who have copies of The Division on Xbox One and PS4. People who have copies of Destiny on Xbox One and PS4. Now, and this is the other interesting part of this that I'm now just thinking about as we talk about this. That means Destiny sells half as many copies. If for every person, when you think about it, for every person that
Right.
bought 2 copies, now they're going to buy one
Mhm.
because they don't need to have the Xbox copy to play with their friends on Xbox. They
Mhm.
just need the PS4 copy.
Suck it, numbers, whatever.
So, in theory, I can see some major companies being like, we're not going to support this because then we cannibalize sales.
Yeah,
The
because
unfortunate part is that they would be cannibalizing sales on their people who are buying the game anyways.
right.
Right? Like you're cannibalizing my sale of a second copy. You're not taking away a user because I'm not 2 users, I just have 2 copies of the game.
Right, yeah.
The other thing that would be interesting that I would be curious to see is for the people who didn't bother buying the game at all on, Xbox or PS4, right? I didn't buy it on Xbox because all my friends were on PlayStation 4. Now,
Mm.
if I was somebody who only had an Xbox and all my friends were buying Destiny on PS4, I
Mhm.
just wouldn't buy it, right? So how many sales does this generate because people who might only have an Xbox One would be like, oh, cool, I can just buy a copy of it for my Xbox, and I can still play with my friends who have PS4s.
Yep.
Right? So I don't need to buy two copies of the I don't need to buy two copies to play with my friend who only has an Xbox. He just has to buy a copy. Now, granted, that still means that there would be less overall copies probably sold from all the people who buy two, but it would introduce the ability for people who just don't buy it anyways would have more of an incentive to go buy it.
Exactly.
You know, because I would now be able to play Destiny with my friends who bought it on Xbox, because that was the friends that I met in Canada from PAX East.
Oh, they only had Xboxes.
Well, they have PlayStation 4s, but they bought Destiny for Xbox.
Xbox.
They specifically bought it for Xbox because one of their friends that they play with all the time, he only has an Xbox, so they all got it on Xbox.
Fair enough.
You know, but I'm not going to buy an Xbox. I'm not going to buy an Xbox copy of Destiny so that I can play with them. We just have to, you know, we play other games.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I have Halo 5, you know, we have another game we can play besides that.
It's true.
You know, and it's also nice too because for like indie games and stuff, now if I get a copy of an indie game on Steam or something, you know, I might be able now to play it with people on PS4 instead of having to grab a PS4 copy on top of it. So all in all, it's an interesting concept. I don't think there's anything negative really about it, other than for some developers it might mean less sales for people who buy two copies.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it opens up the door for more users in general, and probably also overall longer shelf lives of their games. Because when that pool of users on Xbox or PlayStation starts to dwindle to a certain point, everyone's going to be like, fuck this shit, I can't get into a match. Game is done, you know.
Basically.
Whereas now, at least, if PS4 dwindled or there weren't as many PS4 copies sold, you can be like, whatever, I'll just matchmake with Xbox people and it won't be a big deal.
True.
The only other issue, which again, that's like, you know, we're talking about this as if it's going to happen tomorrow. The other issue that you'd run into is how does the chat work, right? Like, how do you connect with these people? And ultimately, my guess is you probably can't, right? Like, I probably can't add you.
You can't add a gamer tag to a PSN.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't add an Xbox Live user to my PlayStation yet. Who knows? Maybe they build in a secondary friends list. But then how does the chat work? And my guess is it's probably... I got to assume it would have to be an in-game chat.
In-game chat, yeah.
Because like Rocket League has in-game chat, and that's how you can work with PSN and PC players. So something along those lines would have to be the solution for that, at least. But that's really interesting. That's really cool that, you know, we're getting that, because to be honest with you, if I had to pick between backwards compatibility on the console versus being able to play cross-console, I would much rather have
cross-console.
Yeah, I would much rather have cross-network play than backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't require me to do anything different, right? Like if this is all developer supported, and it's just something that they implement into their game, then I'm totally on board.
Same, yep.
You know, one, it means I don't have to buy multiple copies of games to play with people who might have it on a different console. You know, and especially in the case of, like, The Division, it's always like, you know, I see people tweeting, like, oh, I'm going to be playing this, you know, I'm going to be playing Destiny, I'm going to be playing The Division. It's like, oh, what console? You know, now that question doesn't matter.
Right.
And with the prevalence of things like Discord and, you know, TeamSpeak and things like that, it doesn't matter. You know, you don't need it.
Right.
You know, I don't necessarily need the console to provide me with chat. A lot of people
Either
A lot of
Skype or
people, well, they Skype or they use. I have a Discord. I use it for when I play Destiny with friends because that's what they use, and so if I want to chat with them, I don't have a choice. But it is super easy to use, and I understand the pros and cons of it. But since it would be, you assume for some people if they're streaming anyways, they're using a PC, so it doesn't matter.
right. Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
To have and like Discord exists on your phone, so you can literally just fire up the app on your
Fire it up.
iPhone or whatever, or Android, I'm sure, and
Go from there.
boom, you're in a voice chat with them. It's basically like TeamSpeak, but it's better, in my opinion. I think it just works a little bit better. It's a little more simple. It's like if Skype and TeamSpeak had a baby. But yes, it's that's. I'm curious to see what happens with this, but I'm also curious to see what happens with PlayStation's newest, firmware beta too, because I wonder if that's not something that like maybe they've been working on in the background.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know.
Although we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's a thing we'll see at E3 or what now. I mean it's not what I'm calling a peace offering from Microsoft. It's just more like a handshake. It's more Microsoft and PlayStation kind of rallying together and being like, "Hey, listen, we both stand to benefit from this."
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I like like I said, I'm actually really excited to see what happens with this and what develops out of it. Again, it does rely on the developers to kind of implement it, but like I said, if this is successful for Rocket League, I don't see why anyone else wouldn't want to do it.
Right, exactly.
The question is Psyonix going to be like Tesla and be like, "Hey, listen, we figured out how to do it, and we're going to share it with all of you because..."
Yeah, right. Here's how we did it.
Because it benefits everyone in the indie development community who wants to be able to share their game with more people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there aren't any other real Rocket League competitors, so it's not like they'd be worried about their IP being
challenged.
It's more just you guys have figured out a back-end networking thing that's like genius, and hopefully they're cool about it, and
like, here's how we did it.
And be like, yeah, and basically just say like, hey, we figured this out. Here's how we did it. Enjoy. If you wanna use some of our code or something, like, it's great.
Right.
I mean, it's super, super awesome. So
super awesome.
So that's all I got. What else you got?
So I don't want to say it's a trend, but instead of just simple demos, like throwing a demo up on a store like PSN, Xbox, whatever, it seems the standard now is pre-order the game, get the beta. Like, should the beta replace just simply devs throwing up a demo, or like,
see,
I don't know how to word it.
No,
correctly.
I know what you mean, and so here's my response, because I get what you're saying, right? Given the fact that we're pushing forward at a steady rate towards a all digital universe as it is, your ability to rent a game is less and less, right? Like, it's harder to go to a Redbox and rent disc-based games because not all games come to disc anymore. And, like, I recently found out from my brother that, and I think I said this last week too, my local library and some of the other local libraries not only rent games, rent consoles. You can rent an Xbox One from my local library and games. So, like, my brother rents 3DS games from the library. And, like, that's really interesting. To be able to like rent it for a couple days and like just drop it back off, but because I might just start renting games. I might just be like, fuck it, I won't buy the Division. I'll just go rent it for a few days.
Yeah, just go rent it for a few days. Yeah.
And so I get what you're saying. How do we get the game in people's hands now, given that we've locked out their ability to try a game. We've
Right.
also, and I say we, the gaming industry, has made it now so that there is less and less and less of an incentive to
Hmm.
sell games, right? You don't get much back for the games from GameStop as it is, or even Best Buy. And if you have buyer best program rewards,
Whatever
whatever the
the
hell it's
game
called,
cover, yeah, gamer club thing.
um, and Amazon has their Prime thing where you get discounts on the game, but like buying physical games is harder because not every game comes out physically.
Right.
The other problem with that is selling them back gives you next to nothing.
Hmm.
So how do you try a game, right? There are no blockbusters. There are no Hollywood videos.
Nope.
Um, and Redbox isn't going to have every single game in it, and maybe your library doesn't rent games. And
Right.
most people that I know that play video games don't live anywhere near me. It's not like I can borrow the game from them.
Yeah.
And if you buy it digitally, I can't borrow it at all.
Nope. It's like
So
I guess share play is the closest thing.
exactly, right? Share play with the ability to, pass the controller.
Play for like an hour. Yeah.
Um so are betas going to replace demos? No, I think betas should be complementary to demos. I think the reality is what Ubisoft was doing, where they gave you like the 1 hour or 2 hour access to their games.
Mhm.
I think that needs to become a standard. In my opinion, you need to give me at least an hour or two in these games to try
Get a
them
feel.
out,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
otherwise, the only thing I can rely on now is questionable written reviews of video games and people's let's plays on the internet. And while
Right.
people's let's plays on the internet, I would think is a far better perception of what a game
Alternative
might be than written
being some.
reviews. Especially when we've had all the nonsense about whether or not Polygon's been, and they
Mm.
they have their ethics thing, but it's yeah, The Last of Us gets a crap review, and then like Halo 5 gets a great review, and it's like, but you've been funded by Microsoft, so your credibility is gone. And that's just Polygon. There's other video gaming sites,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not trying to again start a fucking war with people who like love Polygon. I'm just illustrating the fact that it's hard to trust
No.
every source
Hmm.
on video games because you are the best judge of what you like. So I think that we need the ability to try these games before we purchase them.
Hmm.
So the way that Steam allows you to buy a game, and within 14 days, if you've played like less than a few hours,
Like
you can
a
just
few hours.
return it.
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome. That's a really great method.
Agreed.
It sucks on the indie developer side of it, where you can beat the games that are under a certain amount of time and then
Yeah,
just
and you
fucking
just
return them.
yeah.
That part is shitty. But I think that those are steps in the right direction, right? Because how do you test PC games? And there used to always be demos. I
Hmm.
remember when I was a kid, every game I wanted to play, there were demos, and the demos usually had fully functional multiplayer. So I could be playing the demo of a
It's true.
game online with other people and not have to buy it.
Hmm.
Like the demo was always open. The difference was is like the demo only had like, 2 maps, and I could only level up to, 15.
Hmm. But still,
Um,
you got
but
to
I
sit
got
there and
I
try
got
it.
time to try the game.
Hmm.
Betas aren't necessarily great for being demos because usually the beta is an unfinished version. When you play a demo of a game, you're playing the finished version of the game.
Right. It's just a
Um,
specific part or
yeah, you're
whatever.
just getting a limited access to it. So
Hmm.
that's why I think betas are complementary to demos, but I think that there needs to be some sort of system established to give us some access to these games. And there are tons of games that do have demos right now, few
Hmm.
and far between, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The other reason I don't like the idea of pre-ordering for beta access is because it does fuel the issues that we had with the division, where like so many people pre-ordered the game to get
Cancel.
beta access and most likely canceled it, that
Cancel.
they ran out of codes for the closed beta.
Hmm.
And then they had the open beta, which was fine. I got to try it out, but
Yeah.
if it had been super glitchy, that would have been a really disappointing experience if that
Hmm.
was a demo.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a beta. Everything seemed to work fine. Like we had issues with voice chat, but
Yeah, other than that,
Other than that, the game was mechanically pretty solid. So,
mhm.
my feeling on it is that the betas are complementary to demos, but we need more demos or some sort of timed trial access to these games. Now, the crappy part is that for like Far Cry 4, I had to download the whole game to my console to play for the
To
hour.
play, yeah, which is
And
weird.
that sucks because it means I have to spend all that time downloading a game. And if I'm on a uh, monthly allocated bandwidth amount, you're telling me I got to eat 40 gigs
Hmm.
or more just to try a
Just
game
to,
for an hour.
hmm
And that's another reason why I think physical games still will exist for a little bit because some people can't just eat, 50, 60 gigabytes. In the case of Halo, 70 gigabytes, Halo 5, that is, um, of their monthly bandwidth on one game.
right.
I thankfully don't have or at least they've never told us that we have an allocated bandwidth for our internet here. But I know some people who have tweeted me and been like, I don't want to download it because I usually wait till the end of the month to see how much I have left, and if I have enough,
Mhm.
I'll download a game. If not, I gotta download it, pause the download, wait till the month starts over, the next day, and then start the download again.
And it started again, yeah.
And that's a shitty situation to be in.
Super shitty.
It's like, not having unlimited data on your phone or having a data cap on your phone. The
Right.
difference is when you're forcing me to have to download my content from the internet, you kind of have, there needs to be some collaboration between internet companies and not forcing these caps on people. And maybe they don't force it, but maybe it's just the cheaper options have a data cap, and the more you
Yeah.
pay, the more you get. But when we're living in an age where everything is coming to us through the internet, like capping my internet seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Because now you're telling me, hey, just so you know, don't watch too many shows on Netflix because you might not
Yeah.
have internet.
Yep.
Or you're just going to get screwed for all the overage, like on a cell
Right.
phone plan. So I don't. Again, that's a complicated situation, and there's a lot of factors at play. But my base answer would be that betas are complementary to
Hmm.
demos. It's early access if you want it. It's a nice bonus to get early access into a video game that you are anticipating and that maybe you have pre-ordered. Um, I don't think that you should be ever have to pre-order for demo access.
You shouldn't have to. No, not at all.
Um, but given that it's now very impossible to not try a game without having to purchase it in full, something needs to change on that front. I think betas give us an opportunity to try games out, but given that betas are not fully finished versions of games, it might not be the
Right.
best representation of a game. And the fact that they're limited access, it's usually for
Right.
like a weekend, which, a weekend is enough time, but
No, yeah, yeah.
um,
But if everyone's trying to log in at the same
yeah, if
time and it
everyone's trying to log
crashes,
in and it crashes because it's not like, if I just get 2 days with it, but on my time, maybe the network wouldn't be so bogged. But, I don't know what's at play in the background and that stuff from, the developer and publisher standpoint, or maybe even Microsoft Network or Microsoft, Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, how that works. I don't know how demos work on their end either.
hmm
Um, like I said, I think Ubisoft had a better system that seems pretty good. Sony's only way to make it work on their end would be to give you trial access to games
hmm like
via
the
like
PS3
Gaikai,
or whatever.
right? The
Yeah.
like the
Or yeah.
PS3, like PS Now, except I'd have to be able to stream PlayStation 4 games,
Hmm.
without having to download them. And since that probably isn't going to happen,
Then,
um,
yeah.
you know, you just have to give me a downloaded demo. And maybe it means you have to go back to like the old school demos where it was like you played 2 levels and that was it. And you could play those 2 levels over and over again, but that was like a, 5 gig demo download instead of downloading the entire full game to play for an hour.
Right.
how far are you realistically getting in this game that you have to download the whole game? And on an open world game, it makes it hard for that because it means you might only get access to a certain part of the game, but build that into the system, build that into the demo. The difference is, and I'm thinking about this as I'm talking about it, when you download these demos in most cases, you're downloading it with a 2-hour lock on it, and then if you buy the game, it unlocks.
Right. You don't
So
unlock it.
they're hoping that, oh well, you've already got the game downloaded and you've played it for 2 hours. You're just going to shell out the 60, and we just put in the unlock key, and then boom, you've got it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
And I understand that because that's a way for them to literally hand deliver the game to you, and then if you say, cool, I'll take it, it's ready to go. You swipe that digital credit card, and then boom, it's already there.
Right.
You don't have to re-download the rest of the game.
Right.
So
Which they did something like that with PS3, I think.
Yeah.
Like the 1 hour trials, you could try
Right.
for free or plus, and then you could keep the game, and then you buy it, and then
You buy the unlock key.
Yeah, as long as it's a full game. Like you were just saying, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's
Yeah,
those are my thoughts on it. I mean,
that's basically what I want. I want to hear your thoughts and everyone else's thoughts if they
yeah. I mean,
when they
this is a definitely both
it's
of
like
these gaming topics are interesting, and I am very curious to hear what everyone has to say. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave some comments. If you are listening on iTunes, tweet us at the DGCast. Tell us what you think, or go to the YouTube page and just comment on it. And we can have a discussion there. Because I am really curious to see what people think about this, especially for the people who only have one console, right? So if you only have an Xbox or you only have a PlayStation, how this cross-network play might affect you and your friends.
right.
I want to know. Tell us.
Exactly.
So with that, we're going to end this episode. We went a little long by like 5-10 minutes.
Whoops.
Not too bad. We try to keep it around an hour. It's about an hour 10. Maybe it might be a little less once I chop the beginnings and ends.
Oh,
But yeah. So with that, like I said, follow us on Twitter at the DGCast. Tweet us and tell us what you think after listening to this episode. Or go to youtube.com/c/thedgcast and you can comment on the YouTube video, and we can go back and forth and have a discussion. Feel free to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/dgcasttv. I stream almost nightly. I start usually around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, and I stream usually until midnight, sometimes later, depending on what is going on in my life. So, do you have anything to say? Any final words?
Don't go eat IHOP. Words of wisdom.
No,
don't get sick.
They will steal your voice.
Don't get sick.
So, with that, it has been episode 61 of the Disconnected Gamers podcast, and we will catch you
The flip.